In Vogue, you'll find page after page of iconic photographs, and you'll see that how Vogue so brilliantly captures not only what's happening in fashion in this book, but what was happening in culture.
In 1909, Condé Nast bought New York social publication Vogue from Society member Arthur Tennier and turned it into a women's magazine. The idea was to take the reader to a multi-dimensional place, unlike any other magazine, by enriching the visual landscape of the magazine with the finest editors, illustrators, and artists.
The School of Illustrators is very important because Nast was the first one to develop it. He brought some of the finest illustrators and artists working in the School of Beaux-Arts in Paris, the School of Fine Arts.
Le Pape was the preeminent illustrator of the 1920s at Vogue, creating a total of 114 covers. The logo at the time was used as part of the identity of the magazine.
There's a famous picture by Le Pape in which the woman was seen with a scarf, and she was wearing such a long scarf that the scarf itself became the logo.
Spaniard Benito brought an Art Deco style to the covers and also played with the logo as part of his illustrations.
Benito was also using the V as columns sometimes for the position of the model. One of the greatest illustrators that Vogue had was George Planck.
One of two noted American illustrators, Planck was known for his dreamlike and fanciful drawings, always illustrating haute couture as fantasy. The other American illustrator was Helen Dryden. She took a more naturalistic approach to her illustrations.
She concentrated more on showing women reading Vogue on the cover, and she had a little touch of humor and a little touch of tenderness.
Photography was the most powerful expression of Vogue's commitment to visual genius. For the first time ever, pictures became stories.
It's important to say here that Nast was a creator of the school of photography in the whole industry. Before then, there was no fashion photography, professional fashion photography.
Condé Nast invested in state-of-the-art studios, so Vogue photographers could achieve the highest level of artistry and technology.
Baron de Meyer was discovered by Edna Chase and brought to America.
His diffusion lighting technique softened the picture, and the way he presented both women and their clothes changed the character of the magazine.
Steichen let the natural light come into the picture.
The realism of this style allowed the detail of the clothing to shine through. In a groundbreaking move, Steichen shot the first color photography magazine cover in 1932. It would be years before other magazines would follow suit.
Hoyningen made pictures that were taken in the studio look like they were taken outside.
This famous 1930 photo of a pair of bathers, seemingly on a diving board looking out at the sea, was actually taken on the roof of Vogue's photo studio in Paris. These techniques, pioneered early in the pages of Vogue, remain to be the hallmarks of the magazine and the works of today's photographers, such as Annie Leibovitz and Bruce Weber. Unlike today, during the 1930s, there were no magazines devoted to celebrities, but all this changed when a young British photographer named Cecil Beaton, whose access to society's most coveted gatherings, began to report and photograph the lives and times of European royalty in the pages of Vogue. Perhaps the most famous of the coverage was a 1937 six-page fashion spread featuring Wallis Simpson, the American divorcee who would cause the abdication of a British monarch and become the Duchess of Windsor. In 1942, photographer John Rawlings suggested using celebrities to present fashion.
He thought that the combination of glamour between Hollywood and designers was an important element.
Legendary actresses such as Loretta Young, Marlene Dietrich, and Veronica Lake would soon appear within its pages, and the relationship between fashion and popular culture was beginning to take shape. In the early days of fashion editorials, Vogue would sketch or photograph models in beautiful couture, as a persona to glamour and aristocratic refinement. But as time marched on, the models and the clothing they wore became much more approachable. As editor Jessica Davies began to fill the pages with sportive clothes, the photographers took the models out of the studio and on the move, using city scenes or cars as backdrops. In the 60s, Diana Vreeland took the models from American streets to dreamy exotic places, such as Machu Picchu and the pyramids. Grace Mirabella brought us back to earth with real-life moments and power dressing for the modern woman. Today's Vogue, under the leadership of editor Anna Wintour, uses the hallmarks of the magazine's past and shape it for a modern vision, combining a mix of celebrity and social, clothes that are aspirational and obtainable, provide readers with real life and a dose of fantasy. Because whatever is important in culture at the time is recorded in the pages of Vogue. If you'd like to read about the history of Vogue on your own, you can find In Vogue in select bookstores or on RizzoliUSA.com.